Hello, good morning to you. If you can hear me clearly and can see my screen, kindly type in hi in the comment section, please. Hi, Colette. Good morning, 1995. Hello, Patricia. You're welcome on board. I really need to know if we are on the same page. Kindly type in a hi if you can see my screen and can hear me clearly, please. Hello, Carrie. Good morning to you. Great. Okay. Um, Once again, I want to welcome you all to yet another beautiful session of X-Trend Speed Live with my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating price action, that is, trend lines, chart patterns, and market structures, and we shall be using these parameters to decipher and determine trading opportunities that lie before us during the New York session. In addition to this, we're also going to go through the previous trades we talked about. At least since the beginning of the week, we have been deliberating on a particular set of pairs, and we shall be looking at how well those pairs are doing, and if there are any suggestions or advices, I will be sharing it with you here on this session. And one thing that is most important is that I will be trying as much as possible to make things very easy and simple so that when the New York session begins, you will be able to take your own individual decisions without any dilemma or doubts whatsoever. So kindly fasten your seatbelt as I dive into the chart and let's see what is happening herein. We actually have how many pairs is that we talked about yesterday? We talked about almost, I think, 6 to 7 pairs. And if you feel you have a pair you think we want us to look at, you can drop it in the comment section. I will try as much as possible to squeeze it in my schedule for today. So without further ado, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening at this point in the market. Well, the first pair we are going to be talking about today is the US oil. Okay, 117, hi, you're welcome. Kudirat, you're welcome. Is Kudirat African? 546 is saying that it does not understand. Well, I will suggest that you become patient because patience is required. And if you have been trading before, then you will understand that We are actually here to read the charts, and our readings will be a hint, will guide us into how we want to take advantage of any potential opportunity during the New York session. So simply what we are here to do here, we are gathered here on a daily basis to study the market. And if you have a pair you think you want us to look at together, you can drop it in the comment section, and if possible, I'll try to squeeze it in my schedule for today. So as I was saying earlier, we want to move into the charts and let's see what is happening in the market. So the first pair we're deliberating on today is the US oil, and here on the US oil we had a scenario we were looking out for yesterday after we took a profit. We took a selling opportunity on Monday and we were profitable, and during the course of yesterday's trading live session, we identified this channel here at the end of the impulsive move to the downside. So we had an impulse leg. Hold on a second, I would like to delete all the structures so that we can have a clearer screen. So now this is what we have here on the US oil on the 1 hour time frame. We already saw a breakdown of a strong demand zone during the course of, I think, Monday/Tuesday session. We saw price do a breakdown of that demand zone that has been holding price supported, and we saw price break down, do a retest of that level, and price was caught within a consolidation phase where we were expecting either a break above or a break below to take advantage of that direction. However, in the last 24 hours, we can see that price broke below that channel, and then we saw price come back to do a retest of structure where you might have entered this trade at this point because we had a retest of structure. I think we had a retest of structure multiple times, and right now you might be in profit or loss. I don't know, depends on where your point of entry is. So now going into the New York session, what is going to be our perspective going into the New York session? Well, the first thing I want to be doing at this point, considering that since price broke down the structure, we continue to see higher lows. You can see we have higher lows here. We can see we have higher lows, and one thing we want to be doing when we see higher lows is to connect those series together. Let's connect the pivots together. Bring out my line chart at this point to have a precise level. Then we connect the series of higher lows together, and what do we have here? So what I'm doing right now is to connect the series of higher lows, and we go back to our candle chart, and this is what we have at this point. So we make a little adjustment to what we just did, and then this is what we have here. So let me extend this one out a little bit, as this is probably going to be our what's it called, our key level going into the New York session today. So we'd like to label this area. We have it sitting at around $99.50. So we are right below a major key level of the $100 mark. So key level is presently at $99.50. So right now, as we head into the New York session, our key level sitting at $99.50 shall be our yardstick, as we shall be using this level to guide our actions during the New York session. So one thing I want to be looking out for at this point is this: since we have a temporary bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows here on the 1 hour time frame, for confirmations we want to see a breakdown of the structure, that is breakdown of this bullish trend line, after which we look for a retest of structure, and look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So this is the first scenario I want to be looking out for here on the US oil. So if we have a breakdown of that bullish trend line, definitely we want to be looking out for a selling bias here on the US oil. The second scenario is more or less leaning to the setup we identified yesterday, where we were looking out for price to do a correction, a retracement into the golden zone area, after we should be looking out for a reversal pattern around this area that might push price to the downside. So now what we are going to be looking out for, if we are going to be doing a counter trend opportunity, mind you, I personally don't do that. I would rather wait for price to come into a level where I can take advantage of a move that is in alignment with the prior leading price action. And if we look at the structure of the US oil here since the beginning of the month, and we will notice that price has been trending on the lower side. And definitely, if that is well understood, we want to be looking for selling momentum. So what this simply means is that if we have a break above of the key level at $99.50, a retest of structure could push price to the upside, after which I will be patient enough to wait for price action to come into my golden zone area, which is around between the $104 and the $109 or $110 area, after which we'll be looking out for a reversal pattern that will support a trend continuation to the downside. At this present juncture in the market, I want to re-identify that golden zone area if it still falls between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So if we look left, we have an impulse leg here which runs from this point into this point. So we want to be bringing out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through that previous impulse leg, and let's see where our 50 and 78.6 is going to fall at. So we can see now that structures have changed, situation have changed from what we had yesterday. So we have our golden zone area between here and here, that is between the $103.50 and the $108 area for an opportunity if we see price break above the key level at $99.50. So let me quickly give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying is this: if we have a break above of the key level, we have a retest of structure, we want to be looking at price coming into this area where we will be looking out for a reversal pattern. It could be your head and shoulder pattern, it could be your double top structure, 1 to 3 pattern, a wedge or a pennant, whatever it is. We look out for patterns. It could be on your lower time frame or here on the 1 hour time frame, and then we take advantage of a trend continuation to the downside. So here on the US oil, the selling momentum, our take profit target has not changed. Oh, let's see if it has changed or not, because we want to be projecting that impulse leg into the future, and we will be using our Fibonacci extension tool to get a confirmation of the appropriate zone we want to be looking at for the take profit target. So we want to project it into the future. We bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, we run it through the previous impulse leg, and we aim at where? You got it right, between the 127.2% and the 1414 area. So we are readjusting our take profit target for any selling momentum here, and let's delete this. We no longer need the Fibonacci extension tool. So we have something. So we have our take profit target sitting at between the $89, $90, $91 area. Well, we are not sure if price is going to go that far, but from a technical perspective, which is the basis of my analysis here, that is where we should be aiming at. And in addition to what I said so far, a breakout of that area could welcome, you could do a counter trend opportunity if you are a counter trend trader, where you could take advantage of, let's see how many pips that is from above that key level into this area. We could be having around 700 to 800 pips to catch if you are taking advantage of that counter trend opportunity here. So this is going to be our perspective as we head into the New York session. And to make our job easier during the session, we have identified two parameters here on the US oil, here on the 1 hour time frame. And the first parameter is the key level here, sitting at exactly $99.50. And we also have a bullish trend line, a temporary bullish trend line that is sitting around this area. We can see it on your screen with the dotted black line. And one thing there is, if we have a breakup of that key level, we'll be looking for a bullish momentum, and that bullish trend line might be capable enough to guide our action going forward, as we might be looking forward to price continue to respect that bullish trend line to be on the safer side of a counter trend opportunity. And so if we see price break below that trend line, then definitely we know that the trend is about shifting from that point. So this is my perspective here on the US oil. If you think there is an area you don't understand in what I've explained so far, you might want to drop a comment in the comment section, as I shall be looking at the comment section in a moment. And if you need further assistance, drop it in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of assistance in that regard. So at this point, I would like to pause the video and look through the comment section if there are any questions, inquiries, or further clarifications needed that needs my attention. Okay, Prime Money is asking if we can do something on USD CAD. Well, I have a perspective on USD CAD already, but I'm not sure if we will be able to take it today because of the time limit we have. But I'll pen it down and let's see if we can squeeze it in the schedule we have for today. So we have USD CAD from Prime Money. And hello Streamroller, how are you? It's been a while. I've not seen you in a while. What's happening? Okay, you want us to look at AUD USD. I think we did that yesterday, so it's going to be part of what we are going to be talking about today. So don't bother, we're going to be around. If you're going to be around, we're going to talk about the AUD USD. Hello Scott Benji, how are you? Glad to have you around today. I'm doing great as usual, and I'm sure you are too. Okay, so I think my explanation on the US oil has been very explicit enough. So we want to move on to the next pair, which is the UK oil. Innocent babe, how are you? Good morning to you. Been a while, I've seen you around. What's happening? So you want us to look at gold. Okay, I think we also shared something on gold yesterday, so I would advise you stay around. Don't hop out of the session. Stay around and we shall be talking about gold in probably 10 or 15 minutes. Okay? So let's move on to the UK oil at this point. Let's see what's happening on the UK oil. As usual, we normally have the same and similar scenario with that which we have on the US oil. So let's move on. So on the UK oil, we also have a similar scenario, and if you look at what the structure is giving us here, we do have a breakdown of that major bearish trend line. You can see on your screen with a red color. And what we have here, we had the scenario yesterday where we were looking out for a break above of or a break below of the channel we identified on the 1 hour time frame. So let's see, we took a trade here on Monday. We took profits here around this area. We took our profit here, and we saw our price broke below that bearish trend line, retest the bearish trend line, and price break down the channel we were talking about, because we were in a consolidation phase yesterday where we were looking out for a signal in the form of a breakout on either side. But we can see now that price broke down the channel and appears to be doing a consolidation phase that might do a retest of structure that will probably push price to the downside, or break out of that trend line, do a retest to push price to the upside. So now, as we go into the New York session, to make things more easier for us, it is necessary we identify the key level. And for me, I'm going to shift this level down into the $101.50 area. So let's label this area for the sake of clarity. We have $101.50 right above. Let's place it right above this area. So I think on the right side of the screen will be most appropriate. Let's extend this line a little bit. Let's extend it a little bit and give it a golden color to emphasize its importance at this point. So we have our key level sitting at around $101.50 area. So what does it simply mean for us? It means that we are going to be using this as our yardstick going into the New York session. So the yardstick means that we want to be using this level to guide our actions, just to make things simpler for us so that we don't get caught up in a dilemma when the time to take a trade happens. So as we head into the New York session, what I want to be looking out for is this: a break above of this key level, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line we identified earlier, a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation should support a bullish bias. And if we continue to see price trending right below this key level, then definitely we want to be doing a selling bias from this area. So if we are going to do a buy, where will our take profit target be? Remember, we have identified an impulsive move from this point to this area in the past, and definitely we want to be using our Fibonacci retracement tool to identify the golden zone area, that is where we think the retracement move is going to culminate, and that area appears to be a TP target for any buying momentum here on the UK oil. So we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through the previous impulsive move, that is the impulse leg. Then we want to be aiming at between the 50 and the 78.6 as our take profit targets, which I've already identified here. So we have a take profit target. Let's delete this retracement tool, we no longer need it. So we have a take profit target sitting within the $106.50 and the $110.50 area. So one thing we want to be looking out for, if we do have a breakout of this key level, remember, we don't want to get too excited when we see a signal, as anything can happen afterwards. So we want to look out for a signal. When the signal happens, we get prepared, we anticipate, or probably set our buy limit. We look out for price to come down into the key level at $101.50 area, where we are going to be looking out for a reversal pattern from this point to guide our action into the bullish move. So with the take profit target sitting between the 106 and $110 area, we should be aiming with about a minimum of 600 pips to catch here. And like I said, if we look left, we can see that since the beginning of the month, or probably the later part of last month, price has been trending on the lower side. So one thing I'm going to be expecting here is this: if price breaks above that key level at $101, do a retest of structure, then comes into this area, I want to be looking out for a reversal pattern within this area. The reversal pattern could be your head and shoulder pattern, it could be your 1 2 3 reversal pattern, double top structure, whatever pattern that forms. Then we want to be looking out for a breakout of structure. Then we take advantage of a selling momentum to the downside. So for selling momentum, where will our take profit target be? So with an impulse leg identified earlier around this area, definitely we want to be extending that impulsive move. We want to be projecting that move to the future, and with our Fibonacci extension tool, we should be aiming at where? Right, the 127.2% and the 1414 area, and this is from a technical perspective, and we should be having somewhere around here as our take profit target. So like I said on the US oil, I'm not sure if this is going to play out, but from a technical perspective, this is what we are having, a take profit target at around the $93 area. So let's see how price plays out. If price plays accordingly, then definitely we continue to adjust and move our position towards the take profit target. Now, in addition to what I have said so far, what if price does not go thus far before we see the bearish move to the downside? Well, the other scenario we are going to be having here, since we already have a bearish trend line here, that is the red dotted line we are looking at this point, somewhere around here, if we see a reversal pattern, it could be a double top structure, then we might be looking out for price coming into this area, do a rejection of this bearish trend line, and then we look out for reversal patterns, then a breakdown of that key level. It could be our neckline, the neckline of the reversal pattern, we never can tell. A retest of structure that would push price to the downside. So in addition to that, like just what it did on the US oil, let us identify a bullish trend line, a temporary bullish trend line that will guide our actions for both the bullish and the bearish momentum during the New York session. So this is just a way for me to make things a little bit more simpler for you when you're about to make your own individual decision when the time is right. So bringing out my candle chart back again. So I want to see price. If price does that, or probably break down that bullish trend line, then I want to be looking for a retest of structure, which could be a retest of our key level at $101.50 area, or a retest of the bullish trend line or the bearish trend line here. You can see the shear confluence, all the three parameters shear confluence, both the key level, the bullish trend line, and the bearish trend line all share a confluence. So we want to be looking out for a retest of that area, where we'll be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So here on the US UK oil, I have identified 3 scenarios for you to look out for during the New York session, and I hope and wish that you'll be on standby to take advantage of any potential that evolves during that session. And remember, our take profit target for any selling momentum falls within the $93 area, which dovetails to, let me see how many pips, okay, at least a minimum of 700 pips to catch here. And for bullish momentum, we'll be looking at a minimum of around 600 pips to catch here on the UK oil. So I would like to pause the video at this point. I hope my explanation was quite explicit, and if you think it is not and you need further clarification, you can drop it in the comment section, where I will be willing to be of help in that regard. So type in your comments in the comment section and let us see how I can be of help. My monitoring device just died, so you'll have to give me a moment to be able to see what you type in the comment section as I'm trying to switch it on. I'm sorry about that. It will take a moment. Let's say some couple of minutes, or not up to a minute, I guess. Let's see what works. So while I wait for this to come up, can we go on to other pairs? And if it comes up, I can easily do a recap. While I'm doing a recap, I would attend to any questions that was raised. Okay, I think it's up already. It's up already. I'm so sorry. Take some couple of seconds to get into it. Okay, here we go. My comments are loading. Let's see how that plays out. Okay, innocent babe, I'm just seeing your comment. Well, I'm fine, thank you. I'm doing well, and I'm glad you are. All right. In the absence of no questions, I think it's appropriate that we move on to the next pair. So, what is our next pair? The next pair we have here is the Euro USD, and on the Euro USD, we are still in a dilemma, though price action has been bearish for since the beginning of the month. And one thing I said yesterday, we had a key level that was supposed to guide our actions during the New York session. We had a temporary key level sitting at 1.02350 area, and we also had a bearish trend line, which you can see on your screen as the red dotted line. Now, what do we have here at this point? We have a scenario where price is yet to come back into that key level, and also that bearish trend line where I said we'll be looking out for opportunities to take advantage of a trend continuation to the downside. Now, with the scenario we have at this point in time, we can see that since the breakdown of that key level in the last 24 hours, we saw that price was being caught within a consolidation phase, pronouncing the indecision that has been in the market, where we will be looking out for either a breakout or retest of structure. So one thing I want to be doing at this point is to identify that structure we have in here, which looks more like an ascending channel. So let's do that. Let's connect the series of higher lows, and then we'll connect the series of higher highs together to be able to have a precise picture of the pattern we are having at this point in time. So hold on a second. Let's just clone this up, and then we have something like this. So let's go back to our chart, our candle charts, and do some readjustments, and then we have something like this to guide our actions going forward. So now with a scenario like this, we have an ascending channel here on the 1 hour time frame. Let's bring this I want to, so that it's within our purview. Okay, so we have the scenario here on the Euro USD. And one thing we want to be doing is this. A breakout of the structure will give us a signal of where price will be heading at. However, it is worthy of me to note here that even if I see a break above of this channel, I'm not going to be doing a buy, as if we look at the long-term perspective on the Euro USD, you will understand that price has been bearish. And so what this simply means, if I see a break above of this channel, probably break above that temporary key level at 1.02350. A retest of structure, I'm not going to do any buy as I'm going to wait to see how price is going to react along the bearish trend line we identified earlier, as I want to see if price is going to be doing a reversal pattern right below that bearish trend line, or we could be seeing a break above of that trend line. So before I go further into any selling momentum within the channel here, let me explain further what is possibly going to happen if price breaks above that bearish trend line. If price breaks above that bearish trend line, we want to be looking out for a retest of structure, where we'll be looking out for patterns to join the bullish momentum. So what I'm saying here simply is this: I'm not going to do any bullish buyers on this one unless I see a break above, a breakout and retest of this bearish trend line on this 1 hour time frame. Now going back to the structure we identified earlier. So for any selling momentum at this point, a selling momentum can come if price comes back into this key level, reversal pattern around this area, and we could enter the trade to the downside. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is if price comes to do a retest of this bearish trend line, do a reversal pattern, then we could sell the pair. Then the other scenario is if we sight a breakdown of this channel during the New York session. We don't want to get too excited as usual, as this is just a signal. A retest of structure should give us a confirmation, and look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. Now, to make our job a little bit easier for us during the New York session, it is appropriate that we identify a key level around this area that will guide our actions going forward. So if we bring out our line chart and look left, we can see that this area has been a resistance point in the past, with a support level, and somewhere here looks like more like a resistance level. So we want to be identifying or connecting at least the area between the support and the resistance area at this juncture in the market to give us a comfort zone to take advantage of either a selling momentum or a bullish bias here on the. So we have something like this, and I would really want to do a readjustment so we can have price sitting at 1.0200 area, which is also a very strong psychological level. So let's label this key level sitting at exactly 1.0200 area. You agree with me, considering the figure, this is a very strong psychological level. As human beings, we always think in round figures. So this is more or less an area where we shall be looking out for a selling momentum right below this area. So one thing I want to be doing, like I said earlier, is this: we already have this candle running bearish, but it's still about 36, is it 46 pips old, 46 minutes old. So we still have around 14 minutes left for this candle to close. So let's see how this candle is going to close. So one thing I want to be looking out for is a breakdown. We look out for a retest of structure, where we look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. However, if price continue to oscillate right above that key level, personally, I'm not going to do anything here. If price does a rejection reversal pattern respecting that, I'm just going to wait to see how price is going to give me a selling momentum. It could be from this key level here, or probably from this bearish trend line. However, for those who are scalpers, those who trade on lower time frame, those who trade with look forward for small pips to catch, you could actually take advantage of that. If we see price trending, I think, how many pips is that? I think 38, 40 pips. And if price goes into the bearish trend line, we could be having around 60 to 70 pips targets. And if we look left, we can see that this area here at 1.02650 and 1.02600 has been a selling niche for sellers in the market in the past. We can see how price has been rejecting that area before we saw that impulsive move to the downside. So that's also an area where we could be looking forward to taking advantage of a selling momentum. So it's possible if price does not break down and price continue to respect this ascending channel, we could have price come back into this area, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line, and we look out for patterns on that time frame to send price crashing to the downside. So these are my scenarios here on the Euro USD. So like I always say, you might want to screenshot my screen and use it as a reference point when you are making your individual decision on this pair. So where will our take profit target be as price action if we're expecting a selling momentum here? We already talked about the perspective for the scalpers, that is, take profit target should be either around here or around here, the bearish trend line. So for selling momentum, where will our take profit target be? So if we look left, we already have an impulse leg to work with. As usual, if you've been following me since I've been on this session, you will observe that we normally project our impulsive move into the future, and we should be expecting that price will do like that, will do something like this. So we should be with our Fibonacci extension tool, we should be aiming at a 127.2% of the previous impulse leg. And where would that fall at? Let's identify that area. So we have around the 1.0300 area and the 1.01150 area as our take profit target. So I want to give this a color, and let's label it for the sake of clarity so that we have a visual understanding of what we are talking about here. So let's place it right in the middle of this box so we have this good. Let's delete all this so I have a clearer picture. So with the TP target, we have about, which dovetails to how many pips that is. Okay, not too much, 74, 75 pips on this one. So we don't know how price is going to react at this TP level. So if we begin to see tendencies of a trend continuation at this area, probably price comes back and then breaks below that TP target area, does a retest, we might want to be adding more position to that pair. So one thing there is this, most important thing here on the Euro USD that we can take home here is this: price has been bearish and is really want to be looking for bearish momentum from this juncture in the market, and I've explained to you the parameters that we can be using to guide our actions going forward. So that is my setup here on the Euro USD. If you have questions or clarifications needed, you can just drop it in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of help in that regard. So 359, good morning to you. You're a little bit late today. Hope no problem. How are you doing? 776, hi, good morning. Rumilayat, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hello to you too. Okay, so let's quickly run into the next pair we talked about yesterday, the GBPCHF, where we have already begun to witness traction in the last 3 to 4 hours on the GBPCHF. You can see what I'm talking about here. We were expecting that bullish momentum at the breakout retest of the key level at 1.15900 area, and that actually happened in the early hours today. If we go to our 15 minutes time frame, we saw how that move happened. We saw a break above of that key level, we saw a retest of structure, and boom, price moved drastically into the upside area. So if you are taking advantage of that move, very kudos to you. I told you how the take profit target, first profit target, falls at around the resistant level of the descending channel, which will have given you about how many pips that is, around 80 pips on this one. And so one thing I want to be looking out for going into the New York session is this: from this juncture on the market, there is a possibility that price is going to break above that resistant level, where I'll be looking out for a retest of structure patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. Remember, I told you during the yesterday's live session that we have a long-term perspective between the 1.19 area and the 1.21 area as our take profit target. But pending the time that happens, we still want to keep on monitoring what is happening here. So one thing I want to be looking out for going into the New York session is this. The first scenario is that the possibility of a breakout retest of structure that will push price to the upside, or there is the possibility that price will come down a little bit, come back to do a retest of this area before we see that move to the upside. So one thing we want to be looking out for is this. We have an impulse leg already that we can work with. And if we look left, we can see that the impulse leg started from around this area where we had the move to the upside here. But one thing about this impulse leg is this. This impulse leg is yet to culminate. What I mean by culminate is it's yet to finish. We've not yet seen sign that the impulsive move has actually ended. So how do we know the impulse leg has ended? Well, the only way we can know the impulse leg has ended is when we see a reversal pattern right up at the end of this area, breakdown of structure. Then we realize that this impulse leg have ended. Then we want to be looking to a retracement phase into the golden zone area of that impulse leg. And remember, our golden zone area is between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg, after which we'll be looking for a reversal pattern to join the potential rally to the upside. So to guide our actions going forward, one thing I want to be telling us here is this. Let us wait for this impulse leg to end. We don't know when it's going to end, and the only way we can know if this impulse leg has ended is to identify or see the appearance of a reversal pattern around this area. Let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. We see a reversal pattern around this area, then we know it has ended. So once we know that impulse leg has ended, what we are going to do is this. We'll bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through that impulse leg, and then we aim at the 50 and 78.6% retracement of the previous impulse leg, and that's the area is going to be where we will be looking forward to taking advantage of a trend continuation at the site of a reversal pattern here on the 1 hour time frame or on our lower time frame. Breakout of structure, a retest of structure welcomes another opportunity to add more positions to our existing trade. So this is my scenario here on the GBPCHF. So what I said here is we are going to wait for the impulse leg to end. And how do we know it has ended? We see a reversal pattern. Then we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through the impulse leg, identify the golden zone area between the 50 and 78.6 area. Then look out for opportunities on that time frame or lower time frame for a potential move to the upside. Excuse me. So that is the scenario we're going to be looking out for on the GBPCHF. If you have questions, drop it in the comment section and I shall take my time to look at it. And we are running out of time. Let's see. Okay, we want to talk about gold. I hope Innocent Babe is still around. I hope you are not out, because we are now going to talk about the XAUUSD, that is the gold. And we took advantage of a bearish momentum. If you remember, on Monday we took this move from this area, the key level at $1,805 area. I think we had like 2 positions running on this one, and price came into this area. We took our profit. I think we took over 3,000 pips profit on this one. Yes, on the XAUUSD. I personally had 2 positions running on this one. So one thing we want to be doing going into, during the yesterday session, we had the scenario yesterday. We had the scenario where I explained to you that price has been caught within a consolidation phase. And since we had in the consolidation phase, we are looking out for a signal in the form of a breakdown and retest of structure, which actually happened, and we saw another move to the downside. So if you are taking this move too, kudos to you. So since the beginning of the week, we've made almost, let's see how many pips that is from this area to this area. We've made over 7,000 pips on this pair. So now that we're heading into the New York session, are we still going to be going to the downside, or is price going to be going up from this area in the form of doing a retracement move to the upside? So how do we intend taking advantage of whatever move that is lining up for us during the New York session? So let us look at what structure is giving us. My monitoring device is shutting down. Please confirm you can hear and see my screen at this point so that I can know that we're on the same page, please. So that I can know we're on the same page, please. So what are we having here on the XAUUSD as we head into the New York session? Well, the first thing I want to be doing here is this. There is a possibility that price could be running from this area, probably doing a retracement into somewhere here before we see the move to the downside. That's a scenario we could be looking out for, but we are not sure if that is going to happen at this point. So what we're going to be doing here is this. Personally, for me on the XAUUSD, I'm not going to be taking any trade until I see something very, very emphatic. I'm already in profit on this one with over 7,000 pips in profit. Definitely, you want to be more calmer. Like I always say, it's better you don't take a trade than you take a trade and lose money. So one thing I want to be looking out for here on the XAUUSD is this. Since we saw this impulsive move to the downside in the last 24 hours, price has been caught within a consolidation phase, and this consolidation phase now is pronouncing an indecision in the market. Probably participants are expecting a catalyst that would push price for them to make a decision. So we're also going to be patient. We're also going to wait. We want to be thinking like the participants in the market. So what are we going to be doing at this point? The first thing we want to be doing here is to identify what the structure is giving us. So if we bring out our line chart, we can see that this structure is giving us a similar scenario with that which we had on the EURUSD. So if we connect the series of higher lows here, we have the first pivot here, we have the first pivot here, we have the second pivot here, and we are not sure if we are going to be having the third pivot around this area. So let's give that a question mark. So we are not sure if that is going to be the next pivot. So for now, let's make it a little bit bigger. I want it to be so big that we can see. So that is the scenario we are having at this point. So we go back to our candle chart and let's make some little adjustments to what we have so far, and then we see how this is going to form. So we have something that looks like an ascending channel, and if we visualize this impulse leg with it, it looks more like a flag pattern where a breakout of structure, probably a breakdown of structure, will give us a signal of a trend continuation. A retest of structure will now confirm that we could go further to the downside, and if that happens, that means the gold is really dropping very, very fast. So what we want to be doing here is this. Once we've identified this structure at this point, the next thing we want to be doing to make our job easier during the New York session is to identify a key level that will guide our actions going forward. So bringing out our line chart at this point, and we look left, we can see that this area has served as a resistance and support level in the past. So we have this area that has served as a support and resistance area. So what do we want to be doing at this point? We want to be connecting this merger together. And what do we have? We have somewhere at around $1,741 area as a key level that we will be working with during the New York session. So let's label this area for the sake of clarity. So we have a key level sitting at exactly $1,740 area. Hold on a second, let's place it right at the top and on the right hand side of our screen to make things a little bit clearer. So with the key level sitting at $1,740, our jobs becomes very easy. So what we want to be looking out for is this. During the New York session, we want to be looking out for a breakdown, either a breakdown or a retest of structure to guide our actions going into the New York session. So what do we do here? We wait for price to break down that key level. which will be our signal. Remember, when we see a breakdown, we are not getting too excited. We want to see how price is going to play out before we hop into a trade. We don't want to be in an unnecessary trade right now. After making so much money, we don't want to give back that money unless I don't know what I was about to say there. So what we have to do here is this: we wait for a retest of structure where we look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So this is the first scenario I'm looking out for, and the second scenario is this. If we look at what structure is given, we consider price as being within a channel, an ascending channel at this point, and there is a possibility that price could still come back into this area, which might also share a confluence with that bearish trend line we identified earlier on the 1 hour time frame, after which we look for reversal patterns at this area that will push price to the downside. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. You can see the bearish trend line that we identify here, this one. Let me give it a more flamboyant color. Let's give it a red so that it will be more clearer. So we have it, let me make it bolder. So we have a bearish trend line here. So this bearish trend line also will be our guide into during the New York session. We have two parameters right now on the XAUUSD. The first one is the key level at $1,740 area, and the second one is the bearish trend line here. So there is a possibility that price will come into this area respecting that channel one more time, after which we look out for a reversal pattern that will send price crashing to the downside. And if we look at this critically very well, we can see that we have an impulse leg. This is a further confirmation. This is a further parameter that we might be using for confirmation's sake. We have an impulse leg here, and definitely from a technical perspective, we all understand that after every impulsive move, we expect price to do a retracement into our golden zone area, after which we look out for reversal patterns that will send price crashing to the downside. So one thing we want to be doing here to make things more easier and more simpler for us is to bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through that impulse leg, and what do we have? We have between the 78.6% and the 50% area as our retracement, as our selling opportunity zone. And let's label this. Give me a moment. Selling opportunity. So we have it right inside this area. So we have a selling opportunity right inside. So let's delete the Fibonacci retracement tool here. So one thing we want to be doing is this. Well, for those who love trading on lower time frame, scalpers to be precise, taking an opportunity, a bullish opportunity here seems more reasonable, with about 1,000 pips to catch on that one if it's going to happen. Then personally, I would suggest you do a trend continuation, but some people feel very comfortable taking reversal pattern. If you are comfortable taking a counter trend opportunity, this is a very well pronounced one you can take, as long as price is not below the $1,740 level. Then I'll wait for price to come into our selling opportunity zone, our golden zone area, after which, and you can see that the selling opportunity zone also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line we identified earlier. So we have a reversal pattern here that will send price crashing to the downside, and if that happens, a breakdown of the $1,740 retest of that area will welcome another opportunity to add position to our existing trade. So at this point in time, where will our take profit target be? You know where it is. What you just need to do is look at the previous impulse leg, bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, and run it through your impulse leg. Run it through this impulse leg, and what do we have around this point? We have an extension into the 127.2% of the previous impulse leg. Sorry about that. So what we're going to be having at this point is a 127.2% and 1414 area as our take profit target. So that falls around the $1,718.50 area. So we have our take profit target sitting at around this area. I think at this point, whatever I've explained so far has been clear enough. And if you think you still don't understand what I'm talking about, you can drop a comment in the comment section to seek further clarification in that regard. So at this point in time, I would want to call it a day. But before I do, I would like to do a recap of what we have talked about so far. I'm so sorry I'm not going to be able to take the which pair was that I promised earlier. I think the USD card and the AUD USD, unfortunately. So let's see how. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let's quickly run through the pairs we talked about so far. So the first pair we talked about today is the US oil, where we were expecting price to continue, probably break above the key level, do a retest of structure and push to the upside, where we are going to be looking for selling opportunity around this area and looking for patterns that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So going into the New York session, we identified three parameters that will guide our actions going forward. And the first one is the key level sitting at exactly $99.50, where we want to be looking forward to a breakout or a breakdown of this bullish trend line, a retest of that key level that will send price crashing to the downside. So we have two scenarios we are going to be working with. The first scenario is the breakout of the key level. We look out for price come up, then we look out for a reversal pattern around this area that will push price further to the downside. And the second parameter is the bullish trend line here, which definitely is going to be guiding any bullish momentum. As if we see price break down that bullish trend line, then we should realize that it appears that the trend is about to shift. So where will our take profit target be for any selling momentum? Here we've already identified around $90 area as a take profit target based on the technical structure using our Fibonacci extension tool. The other scenario we have here is the UK oil, and on the UK oil we have a similar scenario with that which we had on the US oil. And we have parameters here. I think we have three. We have one, two, three. We have three parameters to guide our actions. The first one is the bearish trend line, the red line on your screen. The second one is the bullish trend line, the dotted black line on your screen. And the third one, the major one, is the key level at $101.50. So what I'm saying here is this: if we see price break above that key level, and if possible break above that bearish trend line, then we want to be looking out for a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. And from this area, we have, for those who take profit target for the bullish potential, if we see a reversal pattern within this area, we want to take advantage of a trend continuation to the downside from that area. However, the other scenario is this: if we have price break down this bullish trend line here, and we see a retest of structure in the form of a retest of the $101 area or the bearish trend line, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the downside. Where will our take profit target be? We have identified around the $93.5 area, where we will be aiming for take profit if price move in that direction. So this is my scenario here on the UK oil, and we have a bullish trend line, remember, that guides a bullish momentum on this one. So then we moved on to talk about the EURUSD, where I explained to you how structure is still supporting a bearish momentum, and we identified a consolidation phase which looks like an ascending channel, and we said we want to be looking out for a breakdown of that channel. And to make our job easier during the New York session, we identified the key level at 1.0200 area, where I said a breakdown of that key level, which appears to have happened, a breakdown of this channel, a retest of that level with structures on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So we have a TP target sitting at 1.01220 area. And the other scenario I made mention of is if price breaks above this key level at 1.02 100 area. A retest of structure could push price back into the key level at 1.02350 area, or probably move into the bearish trend line we identified earlier. And if we look left, we can see that this area has been a certain niche for participants in the markets in the past, where we could be looking out for that strong bearish momentum to the downside. So that is the scenario we have on the Euro USD. Then we moved on to the GBPCHF, where I congratulated those who took advantage of that bullish move to the upside, and I told you how that area at the resistant level of the descending channel identified here will be our first take profit target. And remember, our long-term perspective take profit target falls around 1.19 and 1.21 area. So one thing I said here is this: going into the New York session, we said we want to see how this impulsive move is going to end. So we have an impulsive move here. So once we see a reversal pattern here, which I think is already happening, then we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through this impulse leg. Then we have the golden zone area, which is between the 50 and the 78.6 area, as our buying opportunity zone. So if you had missed that first trade, you have missed that, then you can hold on for price to come back into this golden zone area, which we've just identified, and then we look out for a reversal pattern within this area that will support a trend continuation to the upside. And also remember, I told you that if we see price break above this resistant level, we want to and we see a retest of structure, we want to add positions to our existing trade with a aim at a long-term perspective. So that is that on the GBPCHF, and immediately we went on to talk about something on the XAUUSD, which I explained to you how price has been bearish. We've been profitable since the beginning of the week, which we've taken about 7,000 pips so far. And one thing you want to be looking out for here is this: the key level at 1,740 shall be our yardstick during the New York session, as a breakdown retest of that key level should welcome an opportunity to enter the bearish momentum, which dovetails to about how many pips? That is over 2,000 pips to catch. However, if we see price continue to oscillate right above this area, counter trend traders might want to take an opportunity of a trade. But remember, this bullish trend line shall be your guide, as if price breaks below that trend line, then definitely you want to opt out of that trade. So we have price, we expect price, if price continues to respect that channel, we expect price to do a certain momentum right within this area, which is the golden zone of the previous impulse leg, and also it shares a confluence with the bearish trend line that you can see on your screen with a dotted red line. So we look out for a reversal pattern and structures that will support a trend continuation to the downside. So this is our scenario here on the XAUUSD, and I hope this the session was quite explanatory enough, and I hope I've made your job quite easier, as you will be confident and not caught within a dilemma to take your own individual decisions when the New York session begins. So thank you very much. I really appreciate being with you guys. I hope I made justice to your pay, and I'm so sorry I couldn't make up with the AUD USD and the USD card as expected. I'm already out of time already, 15 minutes out of time. So on this note, I would like to call it a day. Thank you very much, and best of luck during the New York session. Bye bye.